Thank you, and a very good afternoon to everybody. How are you doing today? Good. You guys haven't eaten your breakfast. How are you doing today? Good. Now that is better. Thank you very much for having me here, and I want to start by first expressing the gratitude of my colleagues and me to Sweden and Norway for putting their weight behind this meeting, and of course to the EAT Foundation, to Gunhild. You have done a remarkable achievement over a course of just 5 short years to bring together communities that normally may not talk to each other. Those who worry about environmental sustainability, those who worry about nutrition, and those who worry about food. And they also managed to bring the cooks here, and I'm told that there is fabulous cooking going on the margins of the meeting. So what I want to talk to you about is a bit the vision of my organization, the World Bank, about the food systems of today and the future. And when we talk about food, what we actually talk about is people, planet, prosperity. Let me start with people. My organization, the World Bank, has been, for the last 15 years, establishing what is the size of the wealth of this planet on a regular basis. So every 5 years, our very smart economists will calculate the wealth of the world. Until this year, they would measure it as physical capital, buildings, infrastructure, factories, natural capital, land, forest, water, fisheries, and what they would call intangible capital, the institutions that make societies function. This year, they decided to up the ante and calculate human capital. And to our greatest surprise, we realized that actually the wealth of our planet is 2/3 us, people. So here is the number we came up with, $1,123 trillion. 2/3 is the skills, the capacity, the productivity of people. The richer is a country, the higher is the share of people in this wealth. The poorer is a country, the smaller is that share. And obviously that leads to a very clear recommendation that if we want to be a wealthier world, first and foremost we have to invest in the health, well-being, skills, education of our people. And when we talk about investing in people, their health and productivity, obviously food takes a center stage. Now, there are very disturbing numbers when it comes down to food. And I'm sure over these 2 days you have heard them, but I will repeat them. We, in this rich world of ours, still have 815 million people who just simply don't have enough to eat. Very tragically, we have 155 million children that are stunted, children under the age of 5. They would never reach their full potential just because they were malnourished when they were young. And then we have the opposite side of people that are eating, but they're eating the wrong type of food. And as a result, they are obese. Obesity is some 640 million people. 2/3 of those are in developing countries. And I will tell you a story about one of these countries, Samoa. Anybody having been to Samoa? It's kind of far away. But think of this exotic blessed with great nature country where they can grow everything. But they don't. They don't grow enough fruits and vegetables. And the result is people in Samoa eat highly processed food. They have diabetes, heart diseases. 70% of them have some form of non-communicable disease in small or bigger degree. So what we do in a place like this is to remember the rainbow. Make sure that actually we help the country to make full use of its people and its nature, which takes me to my second point, our planet. Well, we are not going to have a second one for sure, and we are not taking as good care of the one we have today. And when it comes down to growing food, it is so absolutely paramount that we do it in the most sustainable manner, that we don't use more of the planet than we have to, and that when we use it, we are good stewards, meaning that we don't excessively deforest, we make sure that we don't use too much pesticides that run into the water, that we are careful how we use that same water, and there is more of micro-irrigation that helps us grow food without creating an environmental problem. And it is absolutely critical that when we integrate concern about our planet in how we grow food, we are mindful of the train that has left the station, climate change. So agriculture today and even more in the future ought to be climate resilient. And we at the bank do a lot to come up with drought-resilient seeds, heat-resilient crops, with capacity to actually minimize the footprint and to help small farmers be successful, including as they bring their livestock to market. So we worry about people, we worry about the planet, but we also at the bank worry a lot for those who are left behind. We still have extreme poverty. Yes, it has been going down. Just 2 decades ago, almost over 40% of the population of the world were poor. Today, it is under 10%, so you can say we have achieved a lot. But if you are one of the 800 million people that are still living in extreme poverty, that success means nothing to you. In fact, that reminds me, my former professor of statistics would say about averages: you can put your head in the refrigerator, your feet in the oven, your temperature would be average, but you will be dead. And I'm stressing this point because for us at the World Bank, the concentration is to understand where poverty is and what we can do about it. And guess what? 80% of the people living in extreme poverty are in rural areas. And if they are to be prosperous, if they are to do better, we need to help them to succeed in making a living in agriculture, in growing foods in a way that can be reaching markets. And we do a lot of this in our programs. We have about $20 billion invested in projects that are connected to the themes I have been describing today. And we are extremely keen to work with all of you so what we do gets better. I want to finish, I have 19 seconds now. I want to finish with one more thing, and it is very simple. I talked about it at a Facebook chat. Love food hate waste. If we are to succeed, we have to embrace a way of life that gives good well-being to people, protects our planet, and makes sure that no one goes to bed hungry. And we sure can do that together. Thank you.